I'm just, oh, you're recording it. Gotcha.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So I think it was like basically after like I got signed, I moved to Europe basically, and then I was out there, and I always felt like I was in vacation mode in a weird way, and everything felt surreal. So Exister felt like, okay, it's time to go back home and reconnect, and that's what this record is all about. It's about reconnecting. And this is the first record where I feel like I have nothing to hide.
Okay.
Very first record. Every other record I was like, okay, I guess I'm goth now, because that's what critics say. I guess
Right.
I'm next Trent Reznor.
Yeah.
I was seeing all this shit, and so I played into it, And this is the first record where I feel like, yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna be completely myself, because I feel like that's the only way I'm gonna die happy.
And do you think that part of that had to do at all with the release of the Body of Errors album last year? Because I found it a little bit not necessarily peculiar, but it seems strange that for the first time you were releasing something under your own name. And was there a reason to do that separate from the Soft Moon?
Yeah, because everything I write with the Soft Moon is completely torturous. It's always
Okay.
like with the Soft Moon, I'm like unearthing shit that I blocked out. I'm unearthing like childhood, motherhood things, like my relationship with my mom.
Yeah.
And everyone has fucked up families, but mine is particularly crazy. Like my mom has been in and out of prison, and I won't go into that, but
yeah.
So I feel like, so every Soft Moon album is like, oh my God, I have to do this again, right? Like, fuck, it's like I almost kill myself every time I write a fucking album for the Soft Moon. So A Body of Errors was just me being like, hey, can I have fun for a second?
Right.
And let me write some cool stuff. And I'm into horror films, and I'm into the soundtrack genre, and it was just a way for me to have fun. You know what? It was just like a break. Like it's
yeah.
like a Body of Errors is like a coffee break, but at the same time, like, hey, I'm like, I can do other shit too, And talking about A Body of Errors before we continue on.
Yeah, of course.
Every album for me, it's so experimental that every album will be a completely different genre. So this first one was like kind of like, heavy synths, kind of John Carpenter and all that shit. Right. Next album will be, I'm thinking of doing just completely percussion. Album after that, I'm thinking about just putting microphones on my body and doing that. So everything's going to be just, I think I just need to express myself completely. And that's A Body of Errors. Whereas the Soft Moon is like a chronology of my life and me unfolding the layers of who I am and expressing that to the world, and in the hopes of that it connects with people.
And how was it doing the European shows for Body of Errors? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't that the first time that you had done live performances just yourself on stage?
First time. That was crazy. So yeah, I was very surprised by the reaction of the crowd. I was so shocked that people were coming to see me.
Yeah.
I'm not a egomaniac, I mean, maybe to an extent because I make music, but I was going into it. I was flying over to Europe and thinking like, wow, no one's going to come to my shows. And there were people there, and it was very cool, very reassuring, inspiring for me to keep going in a way.
Yeah, of course.
And I left. I came back feeling like myself again, because also there was that 2-year pandemic problem. So
right.
But
and
yeah,
because like I've always kind of seen a through line through your albums, like Criminal, being kind of like an extension of certain elements of deeper, deeper being an extension of certain elements of zeros, and so on. I'm wondering if a body of errors had any sort of influence or impact on Exister.
No. Body of Errors is like anti-impact, actually.
Okay.
It was like it was just me wanting to show another side of myself, and of course I can't help myself but put my feelings inside some of the songs. There's a couple tracks on that record, but for the most part, just me like playing those synthesizers, you know, right there.
Right. Yeah.
I just wanted to be like, hey, you know, like I know how to have fun. I have cool gear, analog synthesizers, and I love horror films.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with Exister, that was a whole different animal.
So then how would you compare the recording of Exister to the recording of Body of Errors?
Well, Body of Errors I wrote in several parts of the world. I think I was in Cuba at one point. I was living in Berlin at that time. I also wrote some stuff in Italy, and it was more of like an exploratory thing, like very light. Almost, I would say, almost as a way like when you go out and have dinner with friends, or when you go out and, you know, it was like, it was that light for me. It was kind of up here.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then when I dive into the Soft Moon, it's like, that's just really hardcore.
Yeah. So, you know, touring for Body of Errors, that era, all done with. Yeah. How is it, or have you already started to think about the tour for Exister in terms of like set list, in terms of performance? Is it going to have any sort of like difference compared to past Soft Moon tours?
For sure. I mean, well, the Soft Moon for sure, since the beginning, has always been about design, aesthetic. I mean, yeah. I think I feel like I created the logo before I even wrote a song.
Yeah,
which is crazy. So Soft Moon's always been about aesthetic. We were doing projections like really early on, and now of course everyone does them now.
Right.
So it's always been about, you know, like something like a visual experience, a whole 3D experience, or 4D at this point.
Yeah.
Experience. It's interesting that you asked that, because now with like, I don't know, Soft Moon 5.0, it's more about mobility. Like it's more about like, how do we tour and how do we not travel with so much fucking gear? It's about being functional, but how do we keep it fucking looking amazing at the same time?
Okay.
So yeah, I remember in the beginnings where I had to have a huge guitar pedal board because people cared about that. I had to have an analog synthesizer or multiple analog synthesizers. People cared about that stuff. As we go on, some of the biggest bands are like almost like karaoke. It's just someone singing and then a guy, like, you know, on a synthesizer. It's all backing tracks. Yeah. So we've reached beyond that, and I've realized like, okay, fuck, this band can play an arena and not have to have an amazing amplifier, a huge pedal board, a crazy guitar, a massive drum set. So, I love all that, and I love all those like legacy acts like Jesus, Mary Chain,
right.
All those shoegaze bands. I still respect that, and so I'm trying to find this line where how do I continue to be who I am and respect those bands, but also like I have friends that make more money than me with a USB stick, and they travel around the world with a USB stick, and I'm over here traveling with 3 guitars, pedal board, and stuff. So the new Soft Moon will be like, I would say the look would be a little bit more minimal. But you're not going to miss anything because the show will be incredible. That's what we do.
So does that mean that audiences can't expect to see the trash can coming out anymore?
Oh no, the trash cans will always be there.
Awesome.
I'm probably going to get a trash can tattoo at one point.
So talking about like specific performances, because I know that you currently live in Southern California. You're originally from Southern California. You've lived in Berlin, and I know that also kind of starting out the Soft Moon, you were located out here in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I'm curious, when you play shows in or around cities that you've spent a substantial amount of time in, is there any more pressure on you to like deliver a better performance or to put more into it?
It's funny that you say that, because when I played with Nine Inch Nails, and it was an LA show, it was like he had just sound checked, and then we sound checked, and right after my sound check, we met backstage and we were talking, and we were talking about, you know, random things. But then he said, yeah, and I said, well, I know I mentioned, what did I say? I said, okay, there was a grand piano on the stage. And I go, that's not normal for Nine Inch Nails, right? And he goes, well, it's the pressures of the homecoming show.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's funny that you say that. But for me, actually, I have the most fun when I return to places that I either lived at or felt connected to or whatever. I would say those top three would be Berlin is insane for me. LA always is insane. San Francisco, and then yeah, actually Italy as well, because I wrote deeper in Italy, in Venice, Italy. So there's like these four places, but I don't go in there feeling more pressure. I actually go in there feeling more like badass, like I'm ready, like let's do this, let's have fun.
I don't know if you remember this, but maybe about a year and a half or so ago, I think it was maybe the first message that I'd ever sent to you on Instagram. Yeah. The very first time that I saw you perform was at the New Parish in Oakland.
Whoa. Shit.
Yeah, that
when I got my shit stolen?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that show. I also, when I saw you next was at it was at the Starline in Oakland.
Oh God, yeah, with Hyde. Yeah.
With Hyde, yeah. And I remember during that show, during one of your songs, the power went out. And so now I kind of have a fear of like, oh man, like.
But I don't think we're ever gonna play Oakland again.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. I remember the power going out, our shit getting stolen, which is crazy because I started my project in Oakland, so it's just really weird. But you know.
So I'm curious, going back to talking about the live performance and, you know, like the trash can bringing it out during that specific song. Do you find, especially now that you are accruing a larger body of work, as kind of like as you select what songs you're going to be playing on a given tour or a given leg of a tour, do you find that there are certain songs you feel like an obligation to play versus your personal want to play them?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. And I feel like you can ask this question to anyone. You can ask it to Robert Smith. You can ask even Bono. For sure. It's for me, it's never a pain in the ass to play songs that I know that a fan base prefers, because those songs, I mean, even for me personally, I know they hit. I know they hit really well. So when I get a chance to play those live every night in a different venue or setting or whatever, no, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but I can attest that every artist that has one hit single, they want to play that song. And the reason being, because when you can talk and you can communicate to the fan base that's out there, the crowd even, you know, and it's different every time you go to like a different country. So every night we go from one city to the next city to the next city. And of course, I think the epitome of what we do is trying to write that song. So when we figured that song out, that's the whole point of what we do. So It's not an obligation, actually. We look forward to playing that song. When we see it on the set list, like, oh shit. Ooh, sorry. That song's about to come up. We know, we know. The only thing that hurts me is that I have a hard time not crying when I play those songs and the crowd is fucking singing along. That's the hardest part, but it's an amazing feeling.
And so on that note, how are you feeling about integrating the new songs from Exister into the live set?
Cool. So you only heard that one track. It's about to get really good, by the way, just so you know. Right before we had this interview, I was actually approving the edits of the new music video. The next single comes out July 20th. You're gonna hear some real soft and shit. And yeah. First song was kind of like a test. The record label really wanted to like, oh, let's do this. Like, oh, you're working with another artist and this and that. And I always felt like, damn, I don't know. I haven't written a record in 4 years. Like, it's kind of weird to come out with something featuring someone else, you know?
Right.
But whatever. It's going to be like a really amazing peak. Yeah, next track's going to be, I think you're going to see me. And I actually just wrote an email right before we started chatting, that I approved the video and I said, this is me in my purest form. Everyone's going to be happy. And I feel it in my heart. Yeah, so.
All right. And talking about the new song, what made you decide to start collaborating at this point in your career with other artists and kind of like bringing them on board into the Soft Moon?
If I'm going to be really honest, it's about my label. Everyone is like, hey, you got to collab because otherwise you look like an asshole. That's really what it comes down to.
Okay.
Because if I'm just like making my music and the world is changing so much, and I'm even getting things like, hey, like, oh, if you're gonna collab, it has to be a female or it has to be a black female, or like, it's like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, we're unifying. I love that, but it's crazy how like it's like strategic now, and it's not coming from me. I just want to write my songs. Yeah. But coming from the label side, it's like, okay, how can we make this song better? And so let's collab with this guy because we need to reach a wider audience, or let's collab with this person because politics or whatever.
Right.
So I love to collab, but man, and you're gonna hear this first because I'm feeling really open right now. I felt pressured to collab. I felt like I didn't really want to, you know, and my music is my story.
Yeah.
You know, so, but of course, labels, managers, they want, like, how do we make more money, basically? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. How do we get you bigger? So, but I will say this, collaborating with Fishnark on that last track, like he became, I'm so happy to have met him. Him and I are like best friends forever. Like I'll go to his funeral or likewise, you know. But the whole approach in the beginning was like, hey, it's all tactics now. It's like the music is not enough anymore. So you either have to make a movie or you have to be a weirdo character for people to like you, or, you know, or you have to collab with a bigger artist, you know?
Right.
And that's what happened. That's what happened.
So, because it's looking like we only have about 6 minutes left. So I have 2 questions left. The first one, going back to the label, actually, Sacred Bones, something that I've noticed, because I've been a fan of theirs for a while. And so something that I've noticed with a lot of their recent releases are like, you get the Sacred Bones mail order vinyl edition, you get the black vinyl edition, you get this, you get that, you get that.
Yeah.
So like I even saw you posted earlier on your Instagram, the 9 different vinyl versions.
I fucking hate it, but yeah.
I'm wondering, do you get to pick out the designs, or do
I used to be super into it, but the thing is, I only like clear vinyl, black vinyl, white vinyl, and red vinyl. So back in the day, I remember like, you know, being super into it. But it's been, I mean, I'm like 12 years into my career now. So now the label feels like, you know, we'll choose, and I can step back. I can actually, you know, I don't have to worry about that. But people really care about, it's crazy, but they'll buy the record just based off the design of the vinyl.
Yeah.
Not the music. That's another thing what I was saying just a second ago. You actually have to do more than the music. I like me spending a year in a forest like tearing myself apart to write these songs is not enough anymore.
Yeah, like I have a close friend who's like massive John Carpenter fan to the point where every time Sacred Bones now comes out with a new variant of their newest John Carpenter album,
he buys them, right?
He buys like 3 copies of each one. It's like one to keep sealed, one to open, and one to maybe
That's amazing.
So like, I mean, he has to be single-handedly like, you know, keeping John Carpenter fed for months at a time.
That's amazing.
I mean, great guy. I love him to death. I just like, for me, like it's you know, like I'll just buy the one that I think looks best, or if it's got like a sign something, I'll buy.
I'll be honest, like I wish that everyone would just buy the fucking regular black vinyl, because that's the one that sounds the best. The second you start adding colors to your vinyl, you degrade the actual sound quality.
Well, I mean, I don't want to get into it. As a really hardcore vinyl fan, you're preaching to the choir at this point. Mm-hmm. My last question. I noticed in past interviews that you've done talking about previous albums, you've mentioned kind of each one being its own form of therapy. Like you mentioned in an interview I saw that you said Criminal was sort of like you coming to terms with your father or lack thereof, and things like that. So I'm wondering, what would you say you learned about yourself, if anything, off of the working on the Exister album?
All right, so Criminal was me pissed off, basically. Mm-hmm. Criminal was me, a drug addict in Berlin, trying to kill myself actually on purpose. I was frustrated. I was like, oh, fuck my father, or whatever. He was never in my life, which I actually don't really care about ultimately. So with Exister was me thinking, okay, I can't do this again. If I'm going to write another record, I have to go home, basically. Mm-hmm. And I have to reconnect with my mom or whatever fucking family I have. There's only like 4 people in my family. Everyone else is in prison or dead. So, so Exister is me being completely open. Like I'm not trying to be this goth guy like with Deeper, when that shit, Deeper is very successful record for me. I'm not like, oh, the guy wearing black. I'm not trying to be like mysterious or anything. Mm-hmm. With this record, Exister, I'm completely myself. And it's the only way, like I said earlier, I'm going to die happy. And you'll find this out with the next single, which is happening very soon, a couple weeks. I decided that I'm going to do everything. I'm going to be me. I'm going to be me. Whether my manager says, oh, you got to be mysterious, whether this, it's like everyone's trying to market me, you know? And, right. And now I know I'm not going to fucking die happy if you market me. You know what I mean? So I need to be myself. And this record is crazy honest. Wait till you hear the fucking opening track. You haven't even heard
that sad song.
You heard it?
I haven't heard it. I've seen the track.
You saw the track list.
I saw the track list and I saw the title of it. I was like, all right. This is
okay. So when you go front to back on this record, it's just gonna be like it's a confessional, basically. It's like, this is everything that happened to me. I'm gonna give you everything. I'm not the kind of artist that just wants to be cool, you know, like. Yeah. I'm not like Knights or Ebb, you know, which I love. I'm not Skinny
They're
Puppy.
great. Yeah.
I love that. But you know, they're doing it because they know what they're doing. Like, let's make people move. Let's fucking, where is the youth? You know, like,
Right.
I love
The
that.
tempo has to be a certain one. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's cool. And they can go home and like hang out with their wives and go to sleep. But for me, my fucking music encapsulates everything. Like, I'm literally giving everyone everything. And hopefully this shit lives on forever. Like, I don't want to be an overnight success like some of these fucking bands. I want to fucking live forever.
So
yeah.
What record do you feel like was the last time that you had true authenticity?
Every fucking one of them. Every single one. I don't hold back on any of them. The only thing I would say is that I was probably confused about who I am with all of them. Now, this record, I know who I am. I know who I am, and I know what I'm dealing with in terms of my family, in terms of who I am, and living in fucking Berlin for 7 years, and living in Italy and all that shit, and traveling the world. I mean, I've been to every continent multiple times now, and it's so weird because sometimes when I hang out with friends from before I did this shit, I can tell that we're disconnected because I've just seen so much.
Yeah.
I've seen so much, and I've learned so much about myself. And yeah, go ahead.
Oh, do you ever like just casually? I'm sure that you do when you are like preparing a set list for a tour or something like that. But do you ever just kind of like casually listen back to your older material?
Sometimes I do. It depends on how I'm feeling. And for me, like when I do listen to my old music, it's nothing egotistical. It's basically like I just want to learn. I just want to know how I've grown.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes I will listen to old stuff. I mean, sometimes it's scary. And a lot of times that was informative for sure.
Awesome. Well, I don't have any other questions written down. So I want to say thank you again for this opportunity. As a fan of yours for about 6 or 7 years now, like this really means a lot that you agreed to do this.
Cool.
I can, I'll let you know when I've got it all written up.
Don't even show me. Just send it off and do it. Do what you got to do.
Is there anything that you don't want me to include, like any of the comments about collaboration or anything like that?
Oh yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, I mean, I don't want it to be like on blast.
Yeah.
Where like I didn't the label pushed me for collaborations. Yeah, maybe that's not good.
Yeah, I'll make sure not to include that one.
Yeah. Just include that like when I did collaborate with Fishnark, he's amazing. Like I love him. Like I said, I'll go to his funeral.
Yeah, I was planning on including that. Don't worry.
Okay, just yeah. But yeah, I want you to know personally that that's how the industry is working right now. Everyone's freaking out and they're trying to figure out how do we get more views, more plays, because now that's how everyone gets paid.
So because him is the lead single of the album, how do you see yourself playing that particular song live without him?
Never gonna play him. I'm never gonna play it unless he tours with me. So
okay.
So it was like so some inside note stuff. Basically, I wanted to go out with the track you're about to hear in 2 weeks, but the label thought like, oh well, he's got a different fan base. Let's try to approach. It's strategy, basically.
Right.
It didn't really work out. I felt like I freaked out a lot of my fans, and it's fine. My true fans will always be there, but I never felt like amazing about going out with that track. Track's amazing, by the way. I love that track, but right. I feel like that's a track that I should just listen to on my headphones not a track to
Right. It's not the best representation of the album.
But the next one will be, and then there's a follow-up track. It's gonna be crazy.
Can I ask what song is the next single?
So what do you know? You just know the track list, right?
I only know the track list. I have no idea what anything sounds like.
You never heard anything. And if I tell you, you don't know, right?
Correct.
If I just tell you the track list, it's called Become the Lies.
Okay.
And then the second one is called, the third one is called Monster.
Become the Lies Monster. Okay.
So you got some inside scoop stuff.
I appreciate it. And do you know yet who you're bringing out on tour for the European and the North?
Oh yeah, I know everything for sure. I can't tell you that now. Actually, I'm looking at emails. Yeah, I got some. Okay, I'm just gonna say one. I'm gonna tell you one.
Okay.
There's a band called Model Actrice.
Okay.
You ever heard of them?
Not familiar.
So Model / Actrice. Like I think it's like ACTRIZ.
Okay.
They're going to be huge. Trust me on this one. Just look them up. And then I have a list of other bands, but I think they're the ones I'm most excited about.
All right.
Yeah.
And then I'm also curious, would you be interested in me coming out to the San Francisco show to do a write-up of it for SF Sonic?
Of course, you're on the list.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, you'll be on the list +1, bring a friend, and then come backstage, hang out with me. I love that venue, and I know it really well.
Yeah, I was just there in March seeing Gang of Four.
Oh, hell yeah. Gang of Four?
Yeah.
Wow, I love that band. Wow, inspirational to me.
Oh, yeah, completely agreed.
Still playing.
Well, I mean, it was obviously without Andy Gill.
Yeah.
It was John back doing vocals, Hugo back on drums, Sarah Lee on bass, and they got, I'm going to completely forget his name, David Pajo, I think is how you pronounce his last name, he played in Slint and he played in Zwan with Billy Corgan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's he playing in Gang of Four? Is it guitar? Is he playing guitar? Yeah.
Still playing the same, same kind of guitar, same tone, same everything as Andy Gill. It was great.
Amazing.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you again for everything. I really appreciate it. And yeah, the only thing I might ask for you would be just like a promo image to put in the article, if there's a specific one that you want me to use.
You want to do a screenshot?
Yeah.
Do a screenshot.
Awesome. There we go.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, man. It's good to meet you through this fucking cyber world, but yeah, it's really cool to talk to you. I'm sorry about missing the last one, but
oh no, it's completely 100% understandable.
I'll see you at the Independent.
I'll see you at the Independent. I'll stay in touch.
All right. Hell yeah.
Awesome. Have a good one.
Later, man.